Hey everybody, it's your girl Dr. Latisha, and we are back with another episode of my web show, Coffee and Conversations. I am so excited for the guest we have today. She is someone who is super special to me. We actually share the same name, just spelled a little differently, but she's a woman that I have had the pleasure of working with. She's a woman that I've had the pleasure of praying with, of planning with. So you will absolutely see that she is just as dope as I believe she is. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Latisha Gray, also known as your favorite loan officer, understands the housing market and how challenging finding the perfect home can be. She knows how important it is that you are confident and secure when going through the loan process. She believes in educating her borrowers about the process. A phrase she lives by is the more you know, the more you can achieve. I know that's right. She works diligently to ensure that your home buying or commercial property experience is as easy and as worry-free as possible. Like every borrower, each loan is unique. She specializes in structuring the best program for her clients and their individual needs. She is a licensed loan officer with Crown Home Mortgage and holds a BA in Business Administration and Management and a master's in Organizational Leadership. When she is not servicing her community as a lender, she loves to spend time with her family, record episodes for her podcast, Boss Ladies Connect, and listen to audiobooks. Please join me in welcoming Latisha Gray to Coffee and Conversations.
Hi, Dr. Latisha.
Hi, Latisha. How are you?
I am good. I'm good.
Thank
Happy
you.
to be on.
Yes, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. You are somebody that I know the listeners need to hear from, to glean from all of your wisdom, all of your experience. So I thank you and I honor you for being on. So let's jump in.
Go ahead. Let's go
So,
ahead.
so 20 the end of 2021 and now we are well into 2022. Economists and social media gurus are calling this time the great resignation. And when I saw that, I wanted to have a show dedicated to speaking about that. And the first person that popped into my mind was you, because girl, you fired your boss a long time ago, way before the pandemic. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
So, I was in higher education for 16 years. And most people don't think about that like as a corporate space. And typically it isn't. But my company that I worked for had gone through a lot of organizational changes and had adapted a lot of corporate mindsets and corporate structures.
Mhm.
And I found myself this educated Black female in this space and not being able to advance. It was like they were dangling carrots in front of me, and the carrot just kept getting further and further away,
Yep.
or there was more and more that I had to do, and not really understanding what was happening at the
Mhm.
time. I just was like, well, let me try harder. And if I work harder and I do
Mm,
more,
yes,
they're
yes,
gonna, give me this position that I'm already actually working in. And
exactly. That I'm already doing the work, but not getting the payment or the accolades and recognition for. So many
exactly.
of us have that experience.
Exactly. And so eventually, I outranked my boss, who was a VP in education. So when I got my master's and then I got in organizational leadership, a lot of things began to become clear to me
Mhm,
about what was happening in the workplace and even just the culture of the university I was working at.
mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What do you think gave you the boldness to say, you know what, I am going to chart my course and do something totally different? Where do you think that came from?
I'll so I would like to say that I was just like so courageous and I was like, I'm doing this, right? But really, I was boxed in.
Mm,
I was boxed in. The more I did, the less they gave.
wow.
They did another reorganization, which would have been the opportunity to elevate me, and they didn't demote me pay wise because you couldn't do that. But
Okay.
they took me out of my office and put me in a cubicle. I mean, I went from running like the division budget to putting mailers together. It was just like, it was crazy. Like
Mhm.
people
Like,
were
this is
coming
not
to
it.
me. Right. People were coming to me, and not just African American people, but other people were just like noticing, like, what is happening here? What is going on?
Mhm.
And it just got to the point where I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. And I just began to, to ask God, like, I know you've called me to more than just this. And once my husband got on board, it was almost scary because, you talk about it. I think for 2 years I had talked about
Mhm.
how I was going to leave, how I was, you're not going to see me here and all these different things. But I think for me, it wasn't really until my husband said to me, because I would come home complaining every single day.
Mhm.
And he said to me, well, aren't you leaving? Aren't you leaving in the summer? Aren't you leaving? And
Mm.
I was like, I guess I've been saying it so long that everybody around me was convinced of it, but
Yeah.
I hadn't been convinced of it.
Mhm.
And so that just kind of gave me the support and the push to step out. And honestly, when I stepped out, I wasn't quite sure. I mean, I was doing adjunct teaching,
Okay.
um, but I wasn't quite sure of how it was all going to land. But I knew I had to go. I knew I had to go.
You know what? You remind me so much when you say this. First of all, you said so much, and we're going to pull it apart. But you remind me of the quote that says, "No one to get up from the table when love is no longer being served." And I think when we take that quote and we apply it professionally, no one to get up when respect is no longer being served, when understanding is no longer being served, and when compensation is no longer being served.
Come on now. Yes.
Right? You
Yes.
know, as Black women, we are the most educated group in the country, but oftentimes our salaries don't reflect it, right? Or we'll stay because, hey, I need a job, right? But what happens is you can become diminished more and more and more over time. So I am so grateful that you had a supportive circle. Right. I say all the
Right.
time, who you're
Right.
around matters, right? You had people who wanted you to soar. You had people who wanted to see you be in a good space and you
Yeah.
bet on yourself. Was the
Mhm.
process scary at all for you?
Oh, it was completely scary. Like I said, I didn't know, but I believed. I mean, me and my husband used to joke around, like I'm Peter out here walking on water, and I'm just like, please don't let me sink, Lord. Like, just please. Um, but yeah, something that you said. I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and they were talking about workplace trauma and
It's a real thing.
how feel like we're not capable of doing
That's
certain
right.
things.
That's right.
And so when I left, I was just kind of like, well, what do I have? Like, I was a
Mhm.
little bit, that was the fearful part. Like I
Yeah.
knew I was supposed to step out. I had done some things on the side, but I just wasn't really confident, I should
Okay.
say. I wasn't really confident because I had been in a space where what I was doing wasn't acknowledged. I wasn't getting paid for it. And I didn't want to do that anymore. I
Mhm.
was in finance, and see, now I'm back in finance, right? But I didn't want to do that anymore. And I left with like a mission not to be taken advantage of again.
That's right.
And something that I would say that I've learned in the process is it impacted my heart, and
Yes.
it blinded me a little bit to an area that I was good at. And
Mm.
so I've just probably within the past year and a half just come back into accepting a space like, Latisha, you're good in this space. Like you
That's right.
can work in this space, but I was just running from that space because it I had felt so damaged during that process.
What do you think you used in order to heal from some of your workplace trauma? Because I think so many of us, as soon as you said that word, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do a conference, a seminar. We can
Yes.
team up to do it, right? Because so many people have residual pains from their places of employment. What was healing for you? What are some of the things you did to cope with some of that?
Well, I'll say I started identifying it
Okay.
because some of the things that I was doing wasn't working.
Mm.
And I finally got to the place where I was like, Lord, like, what do you want me to do? Like,
Mhm.
I have all these ideas that are good and that are, um, they seem to be doing things, but it's not like going for the long haul, right?
Okay.
I know, like on the outside, people would say, oh, you did this, have all these different
Mhm.
things, but on the inside, I knew that it wasn't that thing. And simply in me surrendering in that space, he just
Yes.
let me know that some of the things that you're trying to make business is ministry, and the thing that I've given you, you're refusing to
Mm.
use, to
Mm.
step in it. And so then I had to like self evaluate, like, what was it? And it
Mhm.
was, I was running from that experience. And I
Yes,
think just that awareness of it was really healing in and of itself.
absolutely.
And then just that validation from God, and even from just like other little things that were happening that I
Mhm.
wasn't paying attention to,
Yes,
just really helped me just understand that, like, you're valuable, you're worthy, you can still do this thing,
that's right.
and it doesn't have to be that same experience. So I will say though that there is some, I'm still working on the healing process,
That's
because
right. It's a
there
journey.
are some things with, for me, with dealing with, a thing that I used to say is I felt like I was a house slave.
Mm,
I felt like, you wanted to use me to make you look good, but you only let me go so far.
that's
And
right.
it just felt like, oh, so I could be in the house, but I can't
Mhm.
own the house,
That's right. That's right. That's right. And when company comes over, you got to go to the room.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Right. I'm not even
Hmm.
telling them what you've done. And like, I
Exactly.
would find out stuff behind closed doors that was said and everything. And so honestly, that was the beginning part of healing. And I'm still really working through how I view the culture that I was in was a very white male dominated culture.
Hmm.
And so I'm still working on how I view that um, that type of individual.
Absolutely. So, Letitia, tell me about your podcast. Tell me all about why you decided to give your voice a stage and a platform.
Oh, wow. Um, so I started the podcast. It was originally called Tisha Talks.
Yes, I remember.
And it was because I was ready to talk.
You had something
Just
to say.
yeah, just feeling very boxed in, even in the workplace scenario and in some other areas of my life. I just felt like people weren't giving me room or space to be who I was and
Hmm.
who I was created to be.
Hmm.
And when I left that job, I was also leaving a lot of other stuff behind. I didn't want to be boxed in.
Yeah.
I wanted to be authentic and transparent. I wanted to embrace who I was. And so
Yes.
I started the podcast so I could have that space. And I didn't think anybody was going to listen. I just, I just wanted to be able to communicate. But as I evolved, and so I would say that was probably a part of my healing process as well, to
Okay.
be able to express the things that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with expressing or had the space to express before.
Hmm.
And then as I grew from that and healed, I realized that like people are listening to this podcast, and this is a space that I could use for something um, bigger. And as I begin to encounter other entrepreneurs that were in a similar situation and looking to walk in purpose and fulfill the things that they've been called to do and not just be conformed to something that they had to do,
Hmm.
I began to see that we all had similarities in our journey as
Yes.
far as moving past fear, how we overcame obstacles, um, how we continue to press forward. And I wanted to share that because I felt like a lot of us maybe have stepped out, but then get intimidated because there's this roadblock or there's something that
Absolutely.
is not what you thought it was going to be.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden you're questioning, like, was this what I was supposed to do? And so
Hmm.
I thought it was important to hear journeys of people who had those same experiences, but
Absolutely.
proceeded and became successful and love what they do. And so that's how Boss Ladies Connect evolved.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. And I love that you give other women a platform. I love that you give strategies for success. And I love that you're so real, raw, and authentic about your journey. Oftentimes, Letitia, and you know this, everybody looks at where someone who they perceive to be successful is, where they are now. People don't
Right.
act like there is a journey, right? I tell people all the time, like, there was years, tears, a lot that led up to us even being here on this call right now doing what we both
Mm-hmm.
do. And in order for us to really be impactful, we have to let people in on some of the successes, of course, but also some of the failures, so that that part can be embraced, right? You can't get to success without failing many, many, many times over. And I just love that your platform, you discuss what that feels like and you give people an opportunity to dust themselves off.
Yeah, definitely. I've had you on. We've done more self-improvement because that is truly a part of the process. But
Yes.
I definitely got to have you back on to talk about the journey
Yes, let's
from
talk
there
about
to
it.
here.
That's
Yeah.
right. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're always moving forward, upward and onward. So tell me, Latisha, how can people contact you? What are the best ways to get in touch with you?
You can reach me on, well, follow me on IG, which is Tisha, Tisha, underscore talks loans. You can also check out my website, which is www.tishatalks.org. For podcast information, you can follow Boss Ladies Connect on just about any platform: Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, all those things. And yeah, DMing me is probably the quickest way to get in touch with me.
You gotta get a million DMs. I want to thank you so much just for all you do for our community, for all you do every day. I want to thank you for what you are and who you've been in my life. And I will be having you on the show again.
Thank you so much. I can't wait.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.